Hollywood Beach is a place full of mirth, merriment, and sunshine. However, along these sandy shores lies a very, very sinister place with a gangster past. And I stumbled upon it one Thanksgiving a few years ago. We're going to hear all about the Hollywood Beach Resort today on Homespun Haints. Dun 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 dun.
Dun 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 dun.
Hey, Hainted Loves, welcome to Homespun Haints Bonus Edition. I'm Becky.
And I'm Alex.
And Alex, you can tell, does not sound like Diana.
Well, maybe if she had a sore throat.
Well, she does have a sore throat. Actually, she has no throat at all, which is why she's not here today. She made a bad deal with a sea witch, and now she has no voice. Last I checked, she was in deep sea mission trying to find said sea witch and recover her voice and renege on the deal. So she's not here with us today, but my lovely husband, Alex, has graciously agreed to sit in as a guest ghost host.
Hi, everyone.
Alex, thank you so much for being here. This is the very first time we've ever done this, so I want you all to give a big round of applause. I know we can't hear you, but please, please, we'll hear you over the psychic waves. Give a round of applause for my lovely husband sitting in today to hear about some shenanigans I was up to right under his nose that he had no idea about. So it is Thanksgiving today. I hope you all have had a lovely time visiting with family, throwing turkey drumsticks at one another, getting cranberry sauce on the walls, and otherwise avoiding unsavory family members. There's a great trick you can do. Take a bottle of wine with you, hide it in the powder room cupboard, and just sip from Dixie cups every half hour or so. That will help you get through today if you need it.
Why specifically Dixie cups? That's
Usually
very brand specific.
People usually have those in their bathrooms, especially grandmothers.
Right. We don't have it in our bathroom.
My grandmother had it in her bathroom.
Did we inherit said Dixie cups? Is that something you pass on? Or did that go to some other family member?
Oh, I think we've been shunned. She had a Dixie cup dispenser and everything, wall-mounted Dixie cup dispenser. And she would get them all these different colors. Just the little ones to like wash your mouth out with after you brush your teeth. But this was actually a tip I got from my boss. You hide a bottle of red in the cabinet, and then every half hour you're like, oh, that turkey's not sitting right with me. And you go to the bathroom and just a little sip.
That is so strange.
Well, in your family, you can drink openly in front of your relatives.
That's true, but
Some families you can't. I have drunk wine out of a Dixie cup. I did have this incident where, speaking of Thanksgiving and family, I went to Portland, Oregon for a cousin's wedding, and I got a room for myself and my daughter. Alex, you and our son decided to stay back.
We did.
It was a very expensive trip, and only two of us could afford to go. We got out there, and another cousin of mine, and I know you're listening, Reagan, came out and asked if she could stay with us in the room that we got. I said, that's fine, and my daughter went to sleep, and Reagan showed up with a bottle of wine. But I said, we can't leave because my daughter's asleep in the bed. And so Reagan and I hung out under the sink and drank the bottle of wine out of Dixie cups because the hotel had Dixie cups.
I'm glad our daughter was asleep for that.
Well, we hid under the sink, so in case she woke up, she would not lay eyes on that scenario. It was a good time. So, Thanksgiving, hopefully you are not having to resort to drinking in private in your bathroom and pretending to have diarrhea to get away from family. Hopefully you're having a wonderful time. Thanksgiving's always a good time with our family, isn't it, Alex?
Always.
There's no hiding the drinking.
Which is healthier.
It is.
You don't have to fake IBS in order to get through the evening.
It is healthier. And I always found it interesting celebrating Thanksgiving with your family because you're Russian and it's a weird mixture of traditional American and traditional Russian food.
Yes.
We have the turkey and the cranberry sauce and a thing of plov and oliviet.
And the air of oppression.
Well, that is appropriate for Thanksgiving, I suppose.
Like every family gathering.
Per tradition, we usually go down to Miami to visit your parents for Thanksgiving. They're in a city just north of Miami, Hollywood. You may have heard of it. Not Hollywood, California. Different Hollywood. If you've heard of other cities in that area, such as Hollandale and Aventura, and it's right next to Fort Lauderdale, all of that area there is very close together in North Miami. We also just heard from our guest, Anthony Baina, who lives in Aventura, and he spoke of a particular location in Hollywood, which I ventured onto once by accident, and I had no idea it had such a haunted history until he talked about it, and I wanted to tell you guys about this place today. Alex, one day when we came down to visit your family for Thanksgiving, I met up with the same cousin, Reagan. We meet up in a lot of places around the world. I'm always running into my cousins all over the world. But she and I met up in Hollywood, and this is the Thanksgiving right before COVID. So it was 2019. We met at a divey beach bar on the Broadwalk. We had a lot of margaritas and some kind of like smoked crab dip. I think there was also some clam chowder involved. A lot of fish and a lot of tequila happened. We got very teary-eyed and we toasted to a cousin of ours that had just passed away, and we were hugging and we were crying and we were doing shots and we were eating fish. And needless to say, a few hours after this, I got very sick. We started looking for a bathroom for me to get sick into because I did not want to make a scene on that beach. It's a very pristine beach and there's a lot of children, and that would have been very bad. The public bathroom that I would usually use, I guess somebody else was sick in there too, and I just couldn't wait any longer.
Were they sick, or did you see like a trail of Dixie cups? Because now I have doubts.
Anyway, so we stumbled into this odd building that said Ocean Walk in a weird semicircle, and it was made to look like a mall. And there were some shops on the ground floor that had some pretty cool looking things in the windows. So Reagan said, let's go in here. You can find a bathroom and I'll check out these shops. Well, the shops were all closed. The shops were all closed. I know that's a line from Stairway to Heaven, but it was legitimately all shut down. And as we walked into this place, it was like we walked back in time. There were pink tile escalators that were not running. There was water-soaked ceiling tiles, tons of water damage. It was basically 2 floors of an abandoned mall with a hotel on top. Now, we actually thought that we had wandered into an abandoned building, but we noticed that there were people coming in and checking their mail. There were mailboxes. And there was a man there too. I asked him where the bathroom was, and he was like, oh yeah, it's over there, no problem. And I went into this bathroom, and I was so sick that it didn't quite register until after I left that while I was in there, somebody else came in to the stall next to me and didn't leave the stall. But when I left the stall, no one was there. I heard the door open.
Ooh, creepy.
I heard the door lock, but there were no feet under the door. And the stall was empty when I left.
And you didn't see any feet?
I didn't see any feet. I just heard somebody come in and the door open and shut. So I walked back out, and Reagan is snapping photos like crazy. She's like, this place is great. I'm sure it's haunted. Can't you tell? It's got to be haunted. And I'm like, this place gives me the creeps. I feel like we're going to get murdered or something. But we started exploring as much as we could in our state. Like I said, there was a lot of tequila and fish that happened prior, and I was kind of worried about getting sick again. But we did wander around a little bit, and it made me very uneasy, especially because I realized that people lived here and people stayed here. And that seemed unfathomable to me. I was like, this place looks abandoned. How is it that people live here? At the time, I didn't even know it was a hotel. I just thought it was like a really, really run down apartment building. But I have since learned that it is indeed a hotel. And it advertises itself as a luxury accommodation. And you can go onto TripAdvisor or VRBO or even Airbnb and read the reviews, and they are abysmal. People report when they stay there that there will be dirty underwear in their room, burn marks on their sink, used condoms under the bed.
Is that before or after you check in? Because if it's before, still not great, but after, super bad.
Well, there's actually no reception desk either. There's just a security guard behind a bulletproof window cage that gives you your keys. And apparently they're very bad about returning money too if you are like, this place, I can't stay here. But some people do like to stay there because it's actually a very historic location. And as Reagan accurately predicted, it's very, very haunted. Again, I had no knowledge of this. Did you know about this, Alex?
I had no idea. I just thought it was creepy when we
Yes.
walked by it.
We've walked by it several times, and every time I'm always snapping photos, and you're like, why? And I'm like, because it's creepy.
I love our camera roll. It's like pictures of the kids, beautiful beach, creepy hotel, beautiful beach, creepy hotel, creepy hotel.
Did I ever tell you that I actually went in there?
No, this is the first I'm hearing about it.
Yeah, surprise.
I'm just totally shocked you didn't come running home and told me how you got sick and needed to raid the bathroom of a creepy hotel. I feel like I don't know you anymore.
It's the Dixie cups. I've actually got quite a store of them you don't know about.
Our marriage is a lie.
So, a little bit of the history of the Hollywood Beach Resort and why it's so haunted. I mean, it just feels haunted. It is creepy. Anything with an abandoned mall in the ground floor. And there is mold and there's water damage everywhere. I'm not just saying that off of reviews, like I saw it myself. However, in its heyday, it was a grand palace. And there was a very, very notorious rich man who liked to stay there on the second floor. He made it a cool hangout away from the prying eyes in Miami. Can you guess who it was?
Al Capone.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes. Al Capone.
Wow.
This was Al Capone's hangout. Yeah, if he thought anybody was like looking for him, this was the place where he would go. He would hang out on the second floor. He kind of made a little headquarters for himself there. And room 202 in particular is considered to be very haunted because some of his henchmen, the legend and lore goes, strangled a handful of sex workers in this room. Don't know how many, not really sure. There's a very famous story of a couple who came to the inn because of its history, and they specifically were looking for ghosts, but they also wanted to have a good night's sleep. So they stayed on the 5th floor in order to avoid the ghosts on the 2nd floor. The 2nd floor and the 7th floor are supposed to be the most haunted. However, so the story goes that the man had one too many Long Island iced teas and passed out. The woman decided to go for a dip in the pool, and on her way back to her room, she kept hearing whispering, and she felt like someone was following her. She finally made it to her room and tried to climb into bed, but she was awakened by more sounds and more whispering. She got up and saw a naked woman with a plastic bag around her head, lying on the floor, choking for breath, screaming for help.
That's crazy.
Wow, you say that with more conviction. You're like Blue's Clues over there. That's crazy.
We just got a letter. It is a dead body.
It's pretty horrifying.
It's mildly disturbing. I agree.
I know. I mean, if you're going to see a ghost, like, see some lady in a Victorian dress going, shh.
So she was like in a plastic bag?
Well, she had a plastic bag around her head, like she was being suffocated to death.
Did plastic exist then?
In the 20s?
Yeah.
Interesting. Good point.
I think we're onto this.
Anyway, that is the legend. People do say that if they stay in room 202, they feel like they're having trouble breathing.
Could be the mold.
It could be. And the hauntings on the 7th floor are mostly just orbs. People see orbs, light flashes, which I know in the paranormal community, there's a lot of controversy over orbs, about whether or not they're even really ghosts.
You got the shady types that are staying at this hotel. Are they really orbs, or is it some other chemicals that they might have ingested?
Yes, good point.
Yes.
That's another thing people say they smell.
Orbs?
Herbs.
Herbs, yes.
Herbs.
I'm not
Meth
attributing
labs.
that to ghosts, though.
Anyway, after Al Capone left, and he actually ended up dying in Miami, but he's buried in Chicago, the hotel fell into disrepair, could not keep up with changing times, and guess what it became next?
A strip club.
No, even better.
A scary strip club.
A Bible study meet
I was
place.
so close.
The location rented out to a local church, and they used it for their Bible studies. And absolutely nothing happened. There's no interesting stories about that other than it was a Bible study place after it had been Al Capone's hideout where he supposedly was strangling sex workers.
So did they know this and be like, hey, that's a great place for a Bible study? Like, get right up close to that sin. We don't want to do it at a church. That's too wholesome.
Let's read from Leviticus. I don't know if they knew. I know a lot of churches that don't have very much money will rent in places that would otherwise seem to be unsavory, but maybe the Lord's will can cleanse it.
Well, clearly it didn't.
Because their ghosts have apparently invented plastic.
I can't blame them. Plastic is pretty useful.
I'm sure you don't think they had plastic in the 20s?
I don't think so.
Not plastic bags. Didn't they have cellophane, or is that the 50s?
Not sure, but 20 seems a little like I feel like the stock market would not have crashed if we had plastic for some reason.
We had plastic during the Great Recession.
Yeah, but it was a recession, not the Great Depression.
Okay, well, there you go. You've solved it. Our economic woes will never be to that low again because we have plastic. After it became a Bible study place, in 1999, somebody got the brilliant idea that they were going to reinvent the place, turn it into a luxury hotel, and build a mall on the ground, 2 floors actually, called the Ocean Walk Mall. This may have worked if the year had been 1985, but the year was 1999, and malls were already kind of going out of vogue by then. And also being right on the beach, the rent was way too high for the retailers to keep up with it. And nobody was going in to buy anything. They were going into the little beach shops, buying their little trinkets. They weren't going to go to a mall if they were on the beach.
I personally can't hold a wallet when I'm wearing a bikini. You got to go with the flow sometimes.
That's definitely what I was doing when I was sick in the hotel. I can't believe I didn't tell you about this. You had no idea.
It's
Happy
the way
Thanksgiving.
It's the way we maintain romance in our marriage. We do not bring up
Smoked crab dip tequila shenanigans.
Yes.
In the aftermath.
we don't bring that up.
Anyway, the tenants, the retailers, they could not keep up the rent. The place started falling into disrepair again. A lot of water problems that never really got fixed, hence all of the water damage and the mold. It's a lovely place. And it was 100% abandoned. And like I said, the only people we did see, we were like, are they real? I don't know. Do they live here?
More power to them.
And there were plastic plants. That's another thing. There were by the escalators. It was like they had tried to make a garden scene with light coming in from above, like a skylight, but it was plastic plants in there and they were all dusty. It was so gross.
Was it like a shrubbery?
There was like blades of grass, like plastic. It was so weird. It wasn't even well done. It was like people had taken parts of it or something over time, and this was what was left.
It's like someone walked in there and it's like, you know what will distract from all these leaky ceilings and mold and general disgustingness? Fake plants. It's going to bring a ray of sunshine to someone's face as they're running out of here by not paying their bill.
Alex, next time we are in Hollywood for Thanksgiving, would you like to explore this place with me?
Absolutely. I'll bring the bikini.
I thought you were going to say absolutely not. Seriously, would you?
I mean, I'll go in there.
Don't go in the bathroom.
Well, I know what happened in there.
Well, Hainted Loves, I hope that you enjoyed our Thanksgiving special. about Al Capone's hangout, crab dip inspired sickness, and stories we keep from our husbands until they decide to come on a podcast with us.
I learned so much. I lost the family heirloom. You're keeping secrets from me about creepy bathrooms. We have a lot to discuss after today's episode.
I think we do. That's okay. Painted Loves, if you find yourself wandering down a beach at night and you see a trail of vomit-crusted Dixie cups leading to a haunted, abandoned hotel, you're probably going to have a spooky day. Homespun Haints is hosted by Becky Kielimnik and Diana Doty and produced by Homespun Haints Media LLC. Editing and music by Becky Kielimnik. Show notes by Diana Doty. If you have a ghost story and you'd like to be considered as a guest for this podcast, please visit our website at homespunhaints.com/submit.